Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ben and this is the Smoking Hot Confessions BBQ podcast. Hey family, I hope you're well wherever you are and you got that thin blue smoke rolling. This is episode 99 of the Smoking Hot Confessions BBQ podcast. Next week we turn 100 and that's going to be a really exciting episode. My wife is actually going to be posting a post very soon asking for questions from listeners within the Smoking Hot Confessions BBQ community on Facebook. And she is going to be taking over the microphones and she's going to be interviewing me for that episode. So if you're a member of the barbecue community on Facebook or you're not yet, make sure you get in there, have a look for that post. And if there's questions that you wanted me to answer, flick them to her. She's going to field them to me and she's going to actually interview me. I'm not going to know what these questions are. She's going to keep them secret from me and I'll be answering them as if I was the guest on the show. So that's going to be pretty fun. I have no idea how it's going to go. I hope you all behave yourselves with your questions. But in today's episode, stepping into the confessional is Graeme Stockdale, or as you might know him, Big Red. He's the man behind the grand-winning championship competitive barbecue team Pit Crew BBQ, the barbecue cookbook Red Hot and Smokin', the Stockpot Kitchen, and of course that fantastic Baywatch parody video. I'm going to drop a link to that last one in the episode description because that was a cinematic and comedic masterpiece. And if you're feeling a bit down at the moment and a bit housebound, that video is going to put a huge smile on your face. So in this episode, we're going to get into how he got into barbecue, why he got into competition barbecue, the transition to running the Stockpot Kitchen. We're going to talk about that cracked chicken. And if you have met Graeme, then you know what I'm talking about. I'm going to ask him some questions about that Baywatch parody video because I reckon there's got to be some fun stories behind that. We're going to get into his book, Red Hot and Smokin', and the story of how that came about for him. And then we're going to get into a lesson of his choosing. Now, he hasn't actually revealed to me yet what that is. So I'm as interested as you are to find out what's going to happen later in the episode. But knowing Graeme, I'm sure it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun and a hell of a lot of laughs. So without further ado, let's get stuck into it.
This is the internationally awarded Smoking Hot Confessions BBQ podcast with your host, Ben Arnott. How long's it been since your last confession?
Mr. Graeme Stockdale, pitmaster of Pit Crew BBQ and the Stockpot Kitchen, welcome to the confessional.
G'day, Ben. Thanks for having me, I guess. Yeah, it's funny to say thanks for having me when we're doing this remotely and not in person. Yeah, I'm I'm at home, I'm looking out on the fields and I feel like I should be in a dark little room with you speaking to me through sort of a mesh window, maybe.
Mate, I went to Aldi yesterday to duck out to get the essentials. Those people now work in plastic bubbles. They've got like that clear plastic protective screening that they put up in buses.
I could honestly believe it.
They've made whole booths out of that for them.
And if you try and get too close, it drops down like a bank, robbery window. Alarms go off.
People just losing fingers left, right and centre.
Yeah. It's bad. Don't do it.
All righty. So let's kick things off. Tell us how you first got into barbecue, low and slow.
Listen, I'd like it to be like a really in-depth and spiritual answer, but the plain and simple fact of it all is I just love fire. Like, I really love fire. I've always loved fire. I loved playing with fire as a kid. I loved watching the fire. When you'd have the Sunday barbecue and Mum would burn lamb chops and I was just always fascinated by it. And I guess as I started cooking professionally, I just tried to find places where I could sort of bring that into my cooking until it was just a full-blown, now where we have a barbecue restaurant.
Beautiful. I'm much the same. I sort of got into barbecue cooking with a saucepan on an open fire out in the bush because we used to burn stumps out of the ground when I lived on the farm.
Yeah, I feel it. Yeah, it was a very it was a very natural progression. It was bound to happen. I'm sure everyone saw it coming.
Yeah. And so then how did you move from a love of fire and meat? How did you move into competition barbecue with Pit Crew BBQ?
Well, I guess I just I saw that these competitions were happening, and we were in Bangalore at the time at our first restaurant, and Fletcher, who obviously organises or ran the Bangalore barbecue competition, he used to frequent our restaurant, and we actually became really good friends through it all. And one year he literally said to me, "Mate, I've signed you up."
Oh, right.
Except with an American accent.
Of course, yeah.
He has a bit of one of those. So yeah, it was just full steam ahead from there. I was lucky enough to, in our first competition, we were positioned right next to the Natural Born Grillers. So that was a beautiful introduction into having a good time at a barbecue comp, and it was just full steam ahead from that. There was no turning back, It was just a group of people who loved talking about barbecue, and you sit back, you have a beer, you hand in some food, and maybe you win a trophy and maybe you don't. It all becomes less important by the end of the day, and you just have a great time.
Yeah, and I love that it all started for you at Bangalore, because that's one of my sort of almost local competitions there. It's a great little competition.
Oh, it's brilliant. Yeah, we're just, as time goes by, and because it's not going at the moment, but as another year goes by, you just hope that someone's going to pick it up and crank it back up. And I love it. It's just a 10-minute drive down the road. It's fantastic.
Yeah,
I don't get many of those.
Yeah, no, it didn't run last year, did it? And I'm assuming it won't be running this year thanks to Corona. So I was under the impression that he had actually successfully sold that competition on. So without talking out of turn, do you know anything about what the current status is?
No, I don't. Sorry.
Oh, okay. All right. No problem.
Yeah. No, I haven't seen Fletcher for a few weeks or even a month or so now. So, yeah, I couldn't say. Sorry.
Oh, that's right. I'll track him down once we're done here, and I'll find out.
Nice.
So
let me know.
I will. Yeah. So do you still live in Bangalore now?
We're sort of between Bangalore and Lismore, like out in the hills a little bit.
So are you technically on the? No, yeah, you'd be across the border in New South Wales there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. And you're living on a property you were saying before.
Yeah, we got a little farm, 50 or so acres. Got some cows.
Very nice. And so does that sort of factor into your cooking as well?
Not yet. No, we've only just moved here, so we've probably got a little bit to go before this place can factor into my cooking like I'd like it to. It does definitely for my home cooking, I guess. A lot of things come from the garden and whatnot, and even just having the space. Like we've got barbecues all over the place, so we cook heaps on fire. Yeah,
no doubt. Yeah, and you get the kids out and get them involved in that too?
Oh, absolutely. Especially now. It's home ec class is in session.
Yeah, we're starting to do some science and ag stuff. We've bought a little mini greenhouse and we're germinating some seeds at the moment, and we're having a great time with that sort of stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Definitely. Like we're talking about doing, maybe a bit of woodwork next week or over the Easter weekend even, where they can maybe build a shed or a chook pen or something.
Oh, wow.
Just anything to get them working, really.
Well, if you've got a farm there that you're trying to turn into a working plot of land for the restaurant, and you've got labour just sitting there playing PlayStation,
That's right. If I can get them to sort of draw a little diagram of what it's going to look like, and then, that's basically classroom.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The kids have a pen in their hand and a paper on the desk. Job done.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you mentioned earlier that you had started in Bangalore, but now you're down in Lismore. I guess that brings us to Stockpot Kitchen. Tell us how that came about.
Well, I mean, maybe 7 or so years ago, maybe even 8 years ago now, we started catering. Like my wife Jen and I both had jobs in the kitchen, but we just started doing our own little thing on the weekends and days off and that sort of thing. And then quite randomly, we both lost pretty secure jobs within, like 3 or 4 weeks of each other.
Oh, no.
Yeah, like just through places closing down, like totally randomly. Story for another time and a campfire and a beer maybe. But it just made us go, well, sort of had the carpet pulled out from under us. Let's go a little more full steam ahead with this Stockpot bizzo. And then we found our first location, which was at the Bangalore Bowls Club, which was, it was a failing club. So we got a good deal to go in there and sort of took our smokehouse barbecue and fried chicken, and it went a lot better than anyone really expected, I think. And it went really, really well. We were there for, I think, 4.5 years at the end of it, and we had a really good time. Like the club wanted to go in a different direction at the end, and that was all fine. No hard feelings, etc., etc. We all had a little kiss and a cuddle, and we sort of took our barbecue and left, and moved our asses to Lismore, which is a little bit more out in the country, even more so. And there we've been for, I think it's 1 year and 3 weeks. I remember we were going to have our first birthday party the week that all of the COVID-19 restrictions sort of were put in place. So,
no.
Oh yeah, that was a dampener. But we still ate some cake. We had a beer, and had a little celebration. But that was like, I think it was the day after they canned all the parties, etc. So, yeah, and that's where we are now. We're still doing our thing.
It's funny that you say that about the parties. I was reading in the news that I think it was last weekend, maybe the weekend before, the police busted 1,000 parties here on the Gold Coast because people just weren't listening to the professionals, and they were just having like an end of days party anyway.
An end of days party, I love it. That's maybe they thought it is the end.
Yeah, I don't know.
They were going out in style.
Could have been.
Yeah. I know. But I agree. A lot of people just still do whatever they want. I mean, the four-wheel drive beaches got closed here yesterday because there was still tons of people on the beach.
Yeah, they did the same thing up here on the Gold Coast too. They've closed the beaches here on the Gold Coast as people are just ignoring what they're being told and still going anyway.
Yeah.
Craziness. Anyway.
Oh man, it's loose.
Back to the Stockpot Kitchen. So you moved out to Lismore.
Yep.
With respect, why Lismore? It's quite a ways off the motorway. It's not like a major through town, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I mean, at the end of the day for us, we had a certain amount of time to move, so we needed to leave and we needed to find a new place, and we sort of looked between Byron, Ballina, Lismore, sort of that triangle.
Mm-hmm.
And the only place we found that was sort of half decent and suitable was in Lismore, and I guess that was the end of the story for us. We said, let's go. It came down to, time and just basically the only place that was available at the time for what we needed, and it ended up being an absolute cracker.
Fair enough. I understand that. And I'd imagine that real estate rental in Byron Bay would be premium dollar too, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah, honestly, you should check it out sometime. Get yourself a garden shed.
Well, we did actually look at moving to Byron maybe, it'd be a while ago now, 8 or 9 years ago, and just renting a little 3-bedroom, just run-down, bomb-looking house was something like $600 a week. It was insane.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, we couldn't afford that sort of rent. So
yeah. So Lismore it was.
Yeah.
So tell us about Stockpot then. Like what's on the menu, all that sort of stuff.
So we do smokehouse barbecue. We do southern fried chicken. We do burgers. We do booze. That's sort of our credo. We have a big old radar hill offset, and it chugs away every day. We do brisket. We do pulled pork. We do sausages. We do fried chicken. Yeah.
And how have you found the country customers' response to that low and slow American style barbecue?
Yeah, no, they absolutely love it. Like there's old farmers who come in and they can't believe what I guess a brisket low and slow style. Like they just cannot believe it. You know, after they're used to eating, I guess maybe tough old brisket for years, and it's been really well received, and we couldn't have fathomed that it would be sort of as busy as it has been, and for that, you know, we're constantly humbled and thankful for everything that keeps going on out there. It's amazing.
Well, mate, I'm really glad to hear that the response from the small country town has been so good for you, because I grew up in a country town probably about the same size as Lismore, and when I was living there was one pizza place, which is where you went if you wanted Italian food, and there was 2 Chinese restaurants, and that was it. Anything else was just fish and chips and hamburgers. So the fact that they've really sort of that the locals have embraced you so well just makes me really happy to hear.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, we're constantly amazed by it all.
So let's get into how coronavirus has affected the business. What changes have you had to make to keep things going?
Oh dear, good Lord. So I guess the obvious ones are, you know, there's a lot more hand sanitizer. There's in our business, we're pretty much always wearing gloves anyway, so that's pretty handy one. But you know, we've had to take all the tables out of the restaurant. Getting your head around the whole takeaway thing, whereas normally takeaway might be maybe 5% of our business, and it's all eat in. So just turning it into a full takeaway restaurant has been quite a weird experience, and for all the chefs there, you know, like just trying to get that in our heads is probably the weirdest one. And then even as it starts to become more clear in your head how you can do this whole takeaway thing, and you start bringing in all your takeaway systems, and then there's the realization that, oh crap, like eventually I'm probably going to have to go back to the other system, or will I have to go back to the other system? Like, are we a takeaway restaurant now? Who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah, interesting. So was that a government requirement that you pull all those tables out?
I'm sure we could have kept the table in, but there's no dining in allowed. So it's takeaway only.
So best just to take those tables out then and just avoid any potential arguments.
Absolutely. Although it is, I mean, you know, every day or two, someone still asks if they can sit down and eat their lunch, which is, I don't know, it's mildly amusing in this time we're in at the moment. But yeah, for us, all the tables have gone, and it just makes that bit more space there as well. So, I mean, everyone's obviously really, well, most people are quite aware of staying away from other people at the moment, and it just makes it a little bit easier and more comfortable, I think, for everyone.
And how's the response been to that transfer to takeaway? Are you finding that customers are still coming and they're happy to do takeaway?
Yeah, they're definitely still coming, and like we've moved into, now we're doing frozen meals and a lot of cryovac things as well, so people can take home and reheat, that sort of thing.
Oh, good idea.
Which is definitely a lot of people will just come in, you know, every day or two and grab a couple of those sort of things. But even from local producers, you know, people we use anyway, like we've got bread, eggs, cheese, milk, all our booze is on the shelves as well. So people can sort of grab a little something else if they want, if they don't want to go to the supermarkets. So, yeah, we're just doing what we can to keep a little traffic, I guess.
So having those essentials on the shelves there, the bread, the milk, the cheese, all that stuff, was that something that you were doing pre-COVID or something you've done in response to?
Oh, no. We're no, that's post-virus. So now it's like Stockpot Kitchen, smokehouse barbecue, fried chicken, and COVID convenience store. Yeah, no, that's and it's not even something to make heaps of money off. It's just to give, I guess, people maybe another reason to come through the door.
Well, from one point of view as well, you're actually doing them a favour by minimising the number of places they've got to go to get that stuff.
Yeah, well, I guess, yeah, that's sort of what we're trying to do.
Beautiful. And so what sort of opportunities do you see coming out of this? Or is it all negative, or is this forcing you to sort of reconceptualize your business? Are you seeing new opportunities, new directions for you?
Yeah, maybe. I guess we're just trying to stay positive and I guess not thinking heaps about where it's going to go, because we really don't know. It's all just pretty strange, I guess, at the moment. It's a weird one. But yeah, we just try and stay positive and have a chuckle.
You're listening to the internationally awarded Smoking Hot Confessions podcast with massive barbecue nerd Ben Arnott.
And we're back. Alrighty. So the next two things that I want to talk about, they're kind of related. So we'll start with one and then move into the other. The first one that I want to talk about is that Baywatch parody video. Man, that was absolutely the funniest thing I've seen in a long time before I saw it, and the entire time since. So tell us a bit about what that video was and how it came about.
So basically what happens with all the videos you see that look at least semi-professionally done on our website and our socials, we have a friend and he does video filming as a business, and he likes to throw a couple of our ideas our way and just get out and film a wacky little video every now and then. So he'll just give us a call. Listen, we're going to do Baywatch. We're going to do it in the ocean. It's going to be really cold, but you guys are going to be fine. And then we tell the guys at work, and everyone who wants to come and be part of it comes along, and we pull all our stuff together, and it's basically, just what you see on the video is what happened that day. Like it doesn't take hours and hours. We try to keep it fairly simple and fairly relaxed, and not have everyone spending half a day filming a crazy video, and just have a bit of fun and have a laugh.
So in the video, there was one guy, I'm assuming he works at your store, and he goes into the ocean for a swim, and he starts struggling, and he starts having some problems. And then you and the team start running down the beach in the slow-mo, I'll be there whenever you need that theme song from Baywatch.
Absolutely.
You run in there, you drag him out, but instead of doing CPR, what did you do?
I'm pretty sure we shoved a whole heap of food in his mouth. It started with burgers, and there was pickles, and there was fried chicken, and I think we just poured sauce into his mouth, and in an effort to revive him, we were just trying to help.
Yeah, mate, it was hilarious. I was in stitches the whole time. Now it was the fried chicken that really stuck in my memory, and I think that's because your cracked chicken is just divine. Tell us about the cracked chicken.
I don't know. Like I just got lucky with that one. I think it's a recipe I've used for quite a few years now. And the recipe, I know you spoke about my book earlier. The recipe in the book is the recipe we use. Like, a lot of people ask if I'd really put the recipe in the book, but that's how we do it. That's how we do it at the restaurant. Like, people just seem to love it. Like, we make it, it's like a gluten-free, dairy-free type scenario, just because of, where we live. A lot of people are coming into the restaurant asking for gluten-free, dairy-free, et cetera, et cetera. So I just made it that way and tried to make it good. So it's based on the Japanese karaage, where they twice cook it and use potato flour, and it's I don't know. I think we just got lucky, like I say.
So does it all go through the deep fryer? Because one of those years at Bangalore, we were just saying that it hasn't run for 2 years. So I think it was 2018. You brought a big Perilla-style grill that sort of went up and down. So was that fried once and then finished on the grill, or was it double fried and then reheated on the grill?
No, fried once and finished on the grill. So basically everyone who's eaten the cracked chicken at barbecue competitions has had it. It's been fried once and then it's finished on a grill or a smoker or someone's GA or whatever's fired up at the time, basically.
And so is that how you do it at the restaurant as well, or is it twice fried at the restaurant?
No, we twice fried at the restaurant. When we're catering off-site, we do the once fried and then finished in the barbecue. But, it works really well either way. I've never had any complaints about it. And it's still one of those things, like I'd honestly eat it every day if I didn't think it was going to make me a ridiculously fat bastard who didn't want to do anything apart from eat fried chicken.
Yeah, it is so good. It's really, really good. So is that the most popular item on your menu there at Stockpot?
I think brisket and fried chicken are pretty much neck and neck. it could go either way on any day.
Well, I know that cracked chicken is what I see the most photos for popping up on social media. I think it's because it's such a surprise to find such great fried chicken in Australia.
Oh wow, that's a really nice thing to say. I don't know what else to say to that.
Well, I've never had fried chicken as good as that anywhere except Willie Mays in New Orleans. So,
Wow.
like, nowhere in Australia have I had fried chicken as good as your cracked chicken.
Well, I'll give you my personal number when we get out of this interview, hey?
I've already got it. Alrighty, so Red Hot and Smokin', the book. Tell us about that.
I think for maybe 9 or 10 years, I've had a food blog, which is called "Food is the Best Ever."
Sugar honey iced tea.
Yeah, that's right. And I just started writing down recipes with the thought that maybe one day someone might put them into a book for me. And then after a few years, I just I compiled, 100 and whatever it was, 130 or 140 recipes and sent them off. And someone said, yes, I tell you what, I will put that into a book for you. So I went, that's absolutely fantastic. Thank you.
That's really cool. So you sought out the publishers.
Yeah, well, I kind of got a little bit lucky because I have a friend who's published a couple of cookbooks, and she said, listen, try these guys. And, she put in a good word for me. So I'm sure that helped a bit.
Yeah, that always definitely helps. Absolutely. So you sort of reached out, you made contact with this publisher. What was the next step then? Did you meet and discuss contracts, or how? What was the process?
So it was all emails because they were based in Sydney. So, it's first contract and then go to a publishing lawyer, look over the contract, bring it back, send it back. And so there's a bit of to and fro at the start with that sort of paperwork. And then after that, it was sort of putting it all together, giving it to them, and then they do a first edit, and then it goes back and forth. I can be a little bit crass with my language. It's been said. It's been said more than once. So there was a lot of editing done on the first draft. I'll tell you what, there was a lot of stuff, a lot of notes for me to read through. How about that?
So you can't put an F-bomb in a recipe, is that what you're telling us?
Yes, absolutely correct. I mean, people have done it, but, for the market these guys were sort of approaching, they said they wouldn't like to do that. And I said, listen, I guess if you're going to do that whole print it and take photos and thing, then that'll be okay for the first one. We'll roll with it.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm happy. If you're happy and you're going to print that book, let's do it.
Fair enough. Now, if you're in Lismore and they're in Sydney, you mentioned the photography before. How did you line that up? Did they come to you? Did you go to them and cook in a test kitchen down there? Like, what was the setup?
No. They just send someone up. You've got to work in with the schedule. Maybe their photographer's going to this town and then that town and whatever. But, they just gave me a couple of dates that worked for them. I picked one and said it works for me. And then that was when the photographer arrived and on with it.
And what's the process like? Like, you said you had about 140 recipes. Do you have to cook all 140 recipes in like 3 days or something, and he photographs all of them and then they choose? Or do you?
No, it It was definitely a 2-day process. It was, but they sort of said we want X amount of photos, like maybe it was 50, and then we'll choose from that. So we just picked what we thought might make a good photo, I guess.
Okay, so you select the recipes to match the number of photos that they request.
Yeah, I was going in pretty blind, to be honest. Like, I just like, what do you reckon? Take a photo of this. Yeah. But yeah, it all came together in the end.
And did you style the food yourself, or did you get a food stylist?
No, the photographer did the food styling as well.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. She was all over it. Whole package, 2 in 1.
That's awesome. So you cooked up, what, 20 different recipes across 2 days or something?
No, I think it was closer to 50.
Oh, wow, 50.
Yeah.
Right.
But in saying that, you know, some of them were salads and sides and condiments. So it wasn't all super difficult and time-consuming, I guess.
Yeah, and I guess if you got a whole team of chefs and cooks and whatnot, and a commercial kitchen to do it in, then it would all sort of flow together pretty easily.
Yeah, it definitely makes it a lot easier. Like, I would have had not the best time doing it at my house, I think.
There would have been some F-bombs there.
Yeah.
And so, how have you found the book to be? Has it been a red hot seller for you?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's definitely sold. I didn't know, you know, at the start I was probably happy if it sold 100, and then, you know, we sell quite a few through the shop, so I know it's sold more than 100, and then you're happy with whatever. But yeah, I just think it's pretty cool. One of my kids Googled my name the other day, and it was Graeme Stockdale, author.
Very cool.
And, we all had a pretty good chuckle about that. I'm pretty sure they got me confused with someone else, but it's okay. I'll take it.
Mate, if you Google Ben Arnott, you come up with like a French-trained painter living in New York.
Yeah, and you don't even tell anyone about that.
No, well...
No.
Except
you're
now.
Just like, no, I just do podcast things, man. Yeah. No, you can't buy a painting. What are you talking about?
Yeah. So is there going to be a sequel?
Yep, definitely.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I take it you can't give too much away at this stage.
No. I'm well into it. Like, I'm really keen to make a sequel.
Oh, so you've already been doing the recipe development and whatnot?
Yep, heaps.
So if we go check out your blog, Food is the Best Sugar Honey Iced Tea Ever, are we going to see like a bit of a sneak peek over there?
Yeah, 100%. Got a project you'd like to work on with the SHC team? Shoot Ben an email on ben@smokinghotconfessions.com and let's have a conversation.
Alrighty, Gray. Now, the next thing that we're going to talk about, segment 3, is a lesson of your choosing. Now, you haven't actually told me what we're going to be talking about now. So what are we going to be talking about?
Listen, I would like to talk about maybe a lesson or a piece of advice I may be able to offer people who are thinking about getting into barbecue and even more so competition barbecue.
Okay, so we're talking about that transition period from backyard to pit yard.
Oh, listen, we're talking about people who maybe have seen all the pretty pictures and they've seen all the websites and all the Instagram accounts and all the Facebooks, and they've gone like, this looks awesome. Like, I really want to get into this.
Alrighty, sounds perfect. Hit me with it.
And that bit of advice, it may sound simple, just like me, but I'm thinking that if you want to get into barbecue, you just have to remember to be chill about the whole thing and remember it is just barbecue. Like, a lot of people get into it and they take it way too seriously. And they, you know, when you start cooking barbecue and you want your stuff to be like the photos you see on Instagram, but it's not a reality for a lot of barbecue. And you just have to remember that everyone started somewhere, and they didn't start with, 20,000 followers on Instagram and really pretty pictures. They started with a dry, crappy brisket that couldn't feed any of the 16 people they'd invited over to dinner, and a crappy potato salad and white bread, and that's all they ended up eating. And I just think it's an important thing.
That sounds like a very specific example, Gray. Is that what happened to you when you first started getting into barbecue?
I'm sure it happened more than once. Don't worry about that.
Mate, I know it definitely happened to me. My first ever go was trying to do a pork shoulder with my mother-in-law when she came out, because she first got me into low and slow.
Yeah, I remember your story.
Yeah, and it was the most delicious roast pork I ever had. But being a shoulder, it really wasn't very nice roast pork at all. Shoulders are not meant to be roast.
Oh dear.
So if people are out there looking at getting into it, what grill would you recommend that they jump on to start with?
Well, I think it's pretty easy to get a little grill from Barbecues Galore or Bunnings or wherever those things are sold, and get a couple of Besser blocks and put a couple of coals under it in the backyard, and sort of maybe that'll cost you $30, or maybe you get a secondhand Weber that isn't polished and pretty off Gumtree, and maybe that'll cost you $50. And start simple, don't spend thousands of dollars on it to start off with. Get out in the backyard and cook a barbecue. Like, it's pretty simple, I think.
Yeah, it's all pretty straightforward there. Yeah.
Yeah, I like to keep it simple. I like to have a barbecue. I like to watch the fire and watch the coals, and just take it from there, I guess.
So how long would you estimate it was from when you first started getting into it and you were producing not so great stuff before you felt comfortable with your barbecue and you're like, yeah, I'm nailing this? How long was that period for you?
Well, hopefully it'll happen soon. Yeah.
That's not the best plug for the kitchen there, mate.
Yeah, no, it's, mostly we have good cooks now, but then every now and then a brisket won't do what you want, or you'll have, that one rack of pork ribs that annoys you. And it's just really annoying, and all the meat won't behave like all the rest of the meat all of the time. It's, yeah.
Yeah, that is a really frustrating thing when when you've got one rack of ribs that's done and the next rack of ribs looks like it's going to need another 40 minutes. And
yeah.
Oh,
especially, if you've got 10 or 15 racks of ribs in there, or, yeah, briskets can be a bit of a funny one like that sometimes.
Yeah, they sure can. Now, you mentioned before that things like what you see in the food photos on Instagram isn't reality. Have you seen those photos of Instagram versus reality, where it's like someone will try and replicate the model shots and they're obviously not a model? Like,
yes.
Have you seen that?
Yes, I have seen those photos.
Do you think it's time for some barbecue versions of that?
Oh, my dear good Lord, yes.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
Oh, come on, Ben, get on it.
I think I might.
You're not a busy man. Let's do it.
Well, not right now.
Oh, yeah, valid, actually.
I got a couple of weeks holiday, but, it was work from home before that. So, things are getting a bit quiet.
Yeah, it's got to be time for that, for sure.
Well, I'm actually just waiting for the landscapers to finish. They've just told me they should be finished about the middle of next week, and then I'll be able to start building an outdoor barbecue kitchen area
magic.
Which I'm actually going to make it specifically for shooting videos. It's going to have like light rigs and things built into it.
Oh man, perfect.
It's going to be good fun. I'll have to get you up.
Yes, I'll be in. Honestly.
We'll do like a guest cooking spot.
Yep, perfect.
Sounds beautiful, mate. Sounds good. All right, well let's start to wrap this up there then. I'm going to turn the studio over to you, and you can give some thanks, some shout outs, and tell everybody where they can track down your competition team, your restaurant, your book, and of course those beautiful, funny parody videos. Tell us how we can find all that information.
Okay, well, the restaurant is the Stockpot Kitchen on Facey on Instagram. We have all our crazy videos are up in the Facebook. We also have Instagram for Pit Crew _BBQ, which is our competition team. We also do Big Red brand out of the kitchen, which is our condiments and rubs and seasonings. That's also on Instagram. The book is by New Holland Publishers, and you can find it on their website, or you can come into the shop and buy one. We'd just like you to obviously pay attention to social distancing and that sort of thing. So if anyone else is looking at it, maybe just give them a little space.
Yeah. You might need multiple copies chained to the desk like the pens at a bank.
Yeah, really. I think that's all of the things we do.
Okie dokes. And did you want to give some thanks and shout outs out there?
I like always, I just want to thank all the people, everyone, every single person I sit down and have a beer with at barbecue competitions, everyone who does something for this whole thing, people like yourself, Ben, Rach, all of you people who do all of these things to promote what we love doing and promote us being able to just hang out and talk crap about barbecue and have a beer and have a great time. It's just fantastic. People who sponsor our barbecue competition team specifically, like Wild Smoke Rubs, Young Henry's, Byron Bay Pork and Meats, Heat Beads, and just for helping us to do this thing. I constantly sort of shake my head in mild amusement that people are encouraging me to go to barbecue comps by giving me free things. I just think it's awesome. I can't imagine anything better. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, well said, mate. Well said. Definitely all the sponsors and all the fellow barbecue aficionados definitely make it all worthwhile.
Absolutely.
Well, look, I'm just going to say thank you for coming on board the show. Thank you for sharing some time with us, and best of luck with Stockpot Kitchen.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having me. And I will catch you when you got that kitchen built.
Absolutely. You'll be the first person I call.
Bye, man.
And there you have it, family. That was Graeme Stockdale, the bearded brains behind Pit Crew BBQ, Red Hot and Smokin' Book, and the Stockpot Kitchen. Make sure you hit him up on all the socials and follow Graeme and his team. And if you can make it to a competition where Pit Crew are also competing, make sure to be at his tent around 7 p.m. for that incredible cracked chicken. And if you are in the northern New South Wales area, do make the trip into Lismore and check it out. It is just at the bottom of the hill from mental blank, the hippie town. Anyway, you'll get what I'm talking about. So you can definitely make a round trip of it. Anyway, that's it for today's show. So I'll leave you with one last piece of news. We have beanies on the way. That's right. Thick, warm, Smoking Hot Confessions beanies will be in the shop very soon. So head on over to smokinghotconfessions.com/shop. Check back again over the next couple of days, and they will be there very soon. So anyway, until next time, take care of each other and keep on queuing.
Thanks for listening to the Smoking Hot Confessions podcast. Head on over to smokinghotconfessions.com for recipes, tips, and Ben's own confessions.